Some examples of vegetables are spinach, lettuce, and broccoli. Can you guys think of some other examples of vegetables? Okay, so who put any vegetables under their categories of healthy or unhealthy? If you put it under unhealthy, that would be incorrect. Vegetables are actually very healthy, and that's why they make up a big portion of our My Plate. So, moving forward, let's make sure that we eat vegetables with every meal. Here's a chart that shows us the difference between fruits and vegetables. So, some fruits that are on the left side are watermelon, bananas, grapes, pineapple, coconut, orange. And then some vegetable examples are pumpkins that we get to carve for Halloween, some lettuce, cabbage, broccoli, peppers. Who eats any of those foods? Okay, so moving forward, the next category on our My Plate is grains. Grains are small hard seeds of cereal plants such as rice or wheat, and they're in a lot of the foods that we eat without even knowing. Flour is something that we use to bake with, right? How many of you guys have used flour before? Awesome. Well, flour is actually a grain because it is made from hard seeds of cereal plants, and it is used to bake a lot of things. Some examples that grains are in are rice, bread, and pasta. How many of you guys eat that? Yeah, that's what I eat the most of, so I need to work on balancing my plate better. The fourth category of My Plate is proteins. Proteins are food-packed nutrients that give you energy for your body. Nutrients are important vitamins that help your body to work on a daily basis and help you to do the things that you need to do. It helps you to think, to act, to react, to play the sports that you like to play, to participate in the activities that you like to do, and they can come from both plants and animals. So it's not just a plant like the vegetables and the fruits. Some examples of this would be meats. Can you guys think of any meats that we eat on a daily basis? So some examples of that would be fish, steak, chicken, any kind of meat that has protein in it and can raise your nutrient levels. Some eggs are examples of proteins, and beans are another example that many tend to forget about. And the last thing that's on our My Plate is dairy. So dairy is something that contains or is made from milk. So where does milk come from? Milk comes from animals. So unlike the proteins that can come from plants or animals, dairy comes from animals. Some examples that are made up of dairy, can you guys think of any? So cheese and yogurt are the big things that I think of, but when you drink a cup of milk, that is also dairy. So now we're gonna play a game where I'm gonna ask you some questions based on what we've learned and you guys can answer. So if I throw you this ball and you get a white, there's gonna be a specific question that I'm gonna ask you. And if you land on the red, I'm gonna ask you to name a vegetable or a fruit and to distinguish between the two. If you land on yellow, I'm gonna ask you to name an example of dairy that you like to eat or drink. And if you land on blue, I'm gonna give you an example of grain and protein. So let's pretend I'm a student. I catch. My left thumb lands on white. So my first question is, what is My Plate? So like I said before, My Plate is a way to distinguish between healthy things that we're supposed to eat on a daily basis and kind of distinguish them from the unhealthy things that we named on the board, and to use it as a way to classify the foods that I eat. Okay, so let's throw it again to another student. My hand landed on red. So red is to name an example of a fruit or a vegetable. So a fruit that we could name would be an apple. So I eat apples daily, but it's different because from a vegetable, such as a potato, because it has seeds. So that's the difference between fruits and vegetables. So we'll do it to one more student. Hand landed on blue. So blue is to name an example of a grain or a protein. So a protein, for an example, would be would be fish or chicken. So fish I eat a lot with my family, and I eat chicken a lot. So those would both be proteins. And a grain that I eat a lot would be rice. I enjoy eating rice and pasta a lot. I eat pasta almost every meal. So those are important things to think about when you're eating on a daily basis. What are you putting into your food? How much of each food are you consuming? And does it match the My Plate that is the standard for healthy living? Okay, so next, now that you guys know how to distinguish between the variables in My Plate and how to classify the different foods that we eat, we're gonna redo our board and have you guys classify what you've created up here under all of these categories. So we're gonna rewrite them and see what we can do. So like we did earlier where we classified these foods under healthy or unhealthy, which there are unhealthy and healthy foods. But the My Plate teaches us to distinguish foods based on these groups that we talked about and not just healthy and unhealthy. It tells you the accurate amount of portion sizes for each of the types of food based on what your body is supposed to consume. So for example, cheese is one of the things that we originally had on the board. So where would cheese go? Dairy, that's correct. Why does cheese go under dairy? Cheese is made out of milk that comes from cows, so it is classified under dairy because dairy comes from animals and milk substances. So salad, where would a salad go? So a salad is actually hard to distinguish because it depends on what is on the salad, but the base of a salad is lettuce, which is a vegetable. So we can classify that under vegetable. So we originally classified it as healthy, but now we're able to classify it as a vegetable, which is healthy, and we're able to keep track of the portion sizes and know how many veggies we're supposed to eat and how much of our plate it's supposed to fill up. So pizza. Pizza is a hard one. Pizza is something that we eat a lot, but it has a bunch of different nutrients in it. So pizza, the base of it would be a grain because it's kind of created like bread, and it has flour in it like we talked about. So that would be a grain. But then the pepperoni that's on it could be classified as protein because it is a meat and it comes from an animal. We could also put vegetables and fruit on it depending on what you like a pineapple would classify as fruit, or you could put like a pepper, which is classified as a vegetable. So it kind of depends on what you put on your pizza. So we can kind of leave that in the unknown area. It could be classified as a bunch of different things. Chips. What do you think chips go under? Chips aren't really on our My Plate because they're not the healthiest option. So we classified them as unhealthy, correct, right? Yes. So technically, it could be a grain if you think about what's in it, but that one's also in our unknown because it doesn't really quite fit into any of the other things. So now are you guys starting to understand what goes where? Yeah? Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and create our own My Plates. So if you want to, I'll pass out some papers and we'll create our own My Plates based on what we learned today. And you can color it in, you can write in some foods that you like to eat, and then we'll present them as a class. Okay? Okay, so when we're done creating our My Plate, we're going to present them as a class. So my example that I did looks like this. So I categorized them based on the fruits, grains, protein, and vegetables as seen in the demonstration that I showed you guys earlier, and I put some of my favorite foods that I like to eat that fall into each category. On the side, I have my dairy, which is milk. I typically like to drink chocolate milk because I think it tastes better, but it's still meeting my dairy need because it is milk and it is made from animals. And so the rest of my plate is made up of fruit, grains, protein, and vegetables. My favorite fruits are apples, pineapples, and strawberries. So I went ahead and put those on there. It is important to go ahead and draw them and write them so you can have a constant reminder and a visual reminder of what you're supposed to be eating. For my grains, I put rice. Like I said, I like to eat a lot of rice. I eat a lot of Asian food. And I like to eat spaghetti. So I drew my long spaghetti strands that I like to eat because those are both grains. For my protein, I like to eat chicken and fish. So I drew a little chicken wing right here, and I drew a fish right there to demonstrate what it looks like to me. And then for vegetables, I eat a lot of carrots, and I eat a lot of broccoli that look like little mini trees, and I eat salad. So like we talked about, salad is a nutrient that we do need to eat, and the lettuce in the salad is the base of it, which was classified as a vegetable. But it's important not to add all the extra stuff that we need because that doesn't necessarily fit into our My Plate. So now that you guys have a better understanding of My Plate and you have your own personal My Plates, will you go home and talk to your parents about it and share what you've learned about how to classify each type of food and how to create your own plate? So when you go home, now when you look at your snacks and your food and your meals that you eat, are you going to classify it as healthy and unhealthy, or are you going to learn to classify it using the My Plate? So as we grow up, it's even more important to focus on this because you're using a lot of energy, you're running around a lot, you're working hard at school, and in order to be able to focus and get all the energy that you need to do all the different activities that we do, we need to be sure that we are eating all the appropriate foods and having a well-balanced diet. So take this home, show it to your family, show it to your friends, and make sure that you keep learning from it. Thanks. Have a great day.